Episode 157. I believe achieving success in the outdoor biz is dependent upon embracing the outdoor lifestyle and learning from outdoor leaders that came before you. If you agree, then listen up for tips, advice, and hacks about growing or starting your career in the outdoor biz. My name is Rick Sayes. Welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast. One of the keys to creating great content is great writing, and great writing requires solid research. I'm replaying my conversation with Mary Iannotti because Mary, aka the Digital Marketing Diva, is one of the best. But first, if you're feeling overwhelmed by podcasting, or are just looking for a bit of direction with your overall strategy, I'd love to chat and help you create something appealing for your followers that also delivers a tangible business outcome. Head over to createmypodcast.com and schedule your free call today. In this episode, Mary Iannotti, aka the Digital Marketing Diva, dropped some terrific learnings on us from her project with the Colorado Sierra Club. There is something in here for everyone. Be sure to check out the show notes for some links to some of her great resources too. Enjoy. Hey Mary, welcome to the show.
Hey Rick, thanks for having me on. I've been listening to your podcast for a while. I really like it.
Awesome,
I'm
thanks.
Excited to be here in the seat. That's cool.
Great. Well, it's good to have a frequent listener on. I'm sure I've had one on before, but good to have you on. I love your work.
Thanks.
I was checking out your website and all the different stuff you do. So how did you get into the outdoors? How did you get exposed to the outdoor lifestyle?
I've been a recreation junkie all my life. And I started out by playing in the woods in the hood. Okay. You know, I'd go out and we'd ride our bikes in the woods and we'd hike around and we'd go and explore the forts that my brother and his friends put up and check out, climb the trees and do all that kind of fun stuff. And then I got into team sports. I played field hockey and I played ultimate Frisbee for a really long time. Wow. And when I was in college, I took my first backpacking trip and I hung out with friends that really loved to hike. And they turned me on to this place called Letchworth State Park in New York. Have you ever heard of it?
Never heard of it. No. Was that your hood, New York? Is that where the hood was?
No, that's where my hood was New Jersey, but I went to school in upstate New York in Rochester. Mm-hmm. So we'd escape to Letchworth on the weekends and we'd explore. And it's this beautiful park. It's got waterfalls and a really cool gorge. And it's like a mini Grand Canyon, but it's in the east. And I think it was like those days that I hung out in Letchworth that really solidified the fact that I wanted to be in the outdoors as much as possible. And I sort of got this wanderlust where, I thought about it back in college, I really want to bust out, go to the West because the outdoors there is incredible. And it's just so beautiful. And that really changed kind of my life.
Yeah. Awesome. So was that your first backpack trip? Did you do any other trips around in the hood or other places in the East?
Yeah, we did a camping trip once at the, in northern New Jersey and Pennsylvania at the Delaware Water Gap, and that was really fun. Except that was back in the day when I didn't quite get camping down, so we decided we were going to hike a cooler of beer in 3 or 5 miles, and it rained on us, and I was like, there's got to be an easier way, and now, I do flasks of whiskey or something like that. But it was funny. It was like one of those early backpacking trips where it was a bunch of my college buddies and we were all on vacation and we didn't know what we were doing. So.
Yeah, wearing cotton clothing and the whole deal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing how far we've become, right?
Yeah. It was a very funny trip.
Did you ever work retail or a traditional outdoor job?
I didn't. Most of my career was spent managing marketing for SaaS and healthcare companies. Okay. And then when I launched my own biz, that led me to specialize in conversion copywriting and optimizing sales funnels. Mm-hmm. And I got involved in this mastermind group with a bunch of conversion copywriters, and we were all working on developing our businesses, and we decided to work on niching. We thought niching would be a really good idea. And there's a bunch of different ways you can niche. Right. You can niche with a product line or you can niche with an industry. And I thought that's when the outdoor industry came to me, because one reason is that I felt like there's this huge opportunity to educate the industry on how conversion rate optimization works and how conversion copywriting can help people get more sales. Because it seems like it's sort of this big topic in SaaS, but I'm not sure how many people in the outdoor industry are doing it. Yeah. And I thought, I'd really love to share what I know with this industry because I really think it can help them grow their businesses.
I totally agree.
Yeah. And then the other thing is to produce copy that converts prospects into buyers. You really have to be able to understand sort of the emotional needs of the target market and kind of get into their mind and see what their desires are and what their pain points are.
Right.
And since I'm a recreation junkie and I buy a lot of gear and I'm always playing outdoors, I already know that. Like I know a lot of the motivations, so I feel like I can come to the table with a lot of knowledge just from my own personal lifestyle.
Yeah.
So those were kind of the two reasons why I went into the outdoor industry.
I think you're right. It seems like the outdoor industry hasn't embraced a lot of the like you say, whether it's SaaS, tactics and ways of doing things, or other industries. We seem to kind of still be winging it a little bit. And it's interesting, I had the guys from Talcoot on a few episodes ago, and they talk about copywriting and how they can really not only improve the copy, but improve the time it takes to create the copy. It was really interesting. And then one of those guys made a presentation at OR, which I thought was good. So that's good. I love that.
Oh, yeah, because like a lot of people, they say they don't know what to write about, and that can be really time-consuming. But with conversion copywriting, your audience tells you exactly what to say. And that's the beauty of it. It's really good that way.
And so tell everybody a little bit about Digital Marketing Deva. How long has that been around and what do you do?
That's been around for about 4 or 5 years, and it's my brand. And we help fitness and outdoor businesses make more money through conversion copywriting and digital sales funnels. So we kind of specialize in converting leads that come from social media, online ads, email, and SEO, converting all of those prospects into sales. Because you're going to get a better ROI on your marketing if you can convert the traffic that you're already getting.
Right.
So.
And I think, we all do a pretty good job of getting traffic, but then, and I could be totally wrong. I could be missing the boat here completely. And anybody out there that's listening, if I am, let me know. But it seems like we can all take that traffic and convert it into more sales and more engagement, right?
Yeah, but that's kind of my sense too. So I'm open to hearing what the industry has to say, but. Yeah. When I talk to people and when I look at what they're doing, I kind of get that idea. And that's common in other industries, I think, too.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of energy.
There's nothing. It's not a negative. It's just that it's an opportunity, if anything.
Well, it's a good thing. And so then, if you're getting that traffic and you're really hitting it out of the ballpark, getting with social media and SEO, that's when it's time to bring in CRO, right? Mm-hmm. And I tell people, if they don't have the traffic yet, CRO is your next step. You got to build your traffic first, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So let's talk about the campaign you developed with Sierra Club Colorado. What inspired you to do that? That was a great campaign.
Oh, thanks. So it all started, I'm a crack climber and I go to Indian Creek a lot. So every spring and fall, my friends from Boulder and I, we go out there and we climb the sandstone cracks, and it's a really special place. I feel like it's a spiritual place. It's got a lot of spiritual dwelling. So on our when it's raining, on our days we can't climb, we go check things out.
Oh, cool.
And there's a lot of really cool things to see. There's petroglyphs that are beautiful and super old. And it's actually where I met my husband too. So it's very special. Yeah, I met him out in Indian Creek. Uh-huh. So it's special in my life.
Yeah. And
then the whole National Monument / came down, and Beers Ears was on the list, which was really upsetting to me. It's just sad that, a lot of land in that area got pulled off the monument list.
Yeah.
So when it first was proposed and they were accepting comments, I wrote to my legislators, I called them, I submitted comments, I tweeted, I went on to Facebook posts and commented, and nothing happened. It went through like wildfire.
Yeah, kind of the comments, the feedback, you send it out there and then you don't get any response and you don't get any, it's like, hello, anybody, is this thing on?
Exactly. And I was really discouraged at first and pretty sad. But, I just decided, well, the traditional channels just aren't working for me. And I wasn't really happy with my reps. So I thought, what can I do? What can I do with my skills to help protect public lands? And I just decided to help the Sierra Club Colorado, and I wanted to do a copywriting fundraising campaign for them.
Now, did you contact them or did they contact you?
I did. I reached out to them.
Cool. Uh-huh.
And they loved the idea. They wanted me to do it. And when we first sat down, we talked, and they asked me why I was there, and I told them, and they thought that was a great story, and they liked my passion. Mm-hmm. But they said, we don't protect land on the national level. And that's, that's what the Sierra Club National does. And that's what Beer Sears is. But we certainly protect Colorado land. And I thought, I said, I'm cool with that because I play on a lot of Colorado land because I live there. Yeah. So I'm fine with protecting, the land in my state. Mm-hmm. But here's the cool thing. In our first conversation, I said, this is my agenda to protect public lands, and you guys have 7 programs that you raise funds for, and like protecting public lands and getting all the cities and communities in Colorado on using solar and not using oil for energy in the towns, and also like taking care of the making sure that the wolves are protected. They have a lot of programs, but I said, I really want this to be a donor-focused campaign. So I don't want to come out of the gate with my agenda or your agenda. I want to come out of the gate and ask the donors, what is the most important program for them? And whatever they say, I want to go with.
Cool.
Because that's how we're going to raise the most funds.
Right.
The cool thing is, protecting public lands won, hands down. Like about 45% of the donors and the non-donors said that is the most important program to us.
Did they get specific on which public lands or just protecting public lands?
Just protecting public lands.
Okay.
That was it. So it's funny how it was like full circle. I was able to put my agenda aside, but then suddenly it was in line with the donors. So I was psyched.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, this is going to work.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
So, and the cool thing about the campaign is that when we measured it against the benchmark, we tripled the conversion rate, increased revenue tenfold, and nearly tripled the number of donors.
Wow.
So Sierra Club and I were pretty ecstatic with those results.
I'll bet. Yeah. So we talked about the 5 lessons you learned, and you kind of created 5 action points, if you will, that you need to undertake, right? Let's talk a little bit about those. I think the first one you had is sell solutions. What do you mean by that? Yeah.
Well, a buyer's journey usually doesn't begin with a list of product features or like details of a product or a service.
Right.
It begins with a need of some kind.
Yeah.
So they're either trying to solve a problem or they're trying to fulfill a desire. So solution selling is basically the strategy of sell the solution that you provide or the desire you fulfill first. And then you start talking about your products and services, and you tell people how your products and services can fulfill their need.
That's sales number one in sales, right? I remember when I was first got into sales, I had to watch all these sales training things, and the first one was about feature, advantage, benefit. And I had to go write the features, advantage, benefits for all these products in this outdoor product line. But sell solution, right? That's a feature and an advantage right there. That's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. It's really good selling.
Yeah, awesome.
So when we were at as part of the research I did, we asked the donors of the Sierra Club what were the top 4 problems that the Sierra Club solved for them. And they said, gives me a voice, protects the environment, fights anti-environmental politics, and Sierra Club does the research, so I don't have to. Because every year they tell people the candidates they promote for office and why, and they're pro-environmental, right? And they do all that research. So based on those problems, we came up with messaging that told people that we hit all of those, how we solved all of those problems for the donors.
And so your number 2 point is gather voice of the customer data. Was that data that you gathered as to what they wanted done?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So voice of customer data is basically something that's been used in market research and product development for a long time, for decades. Mm-hmm. And the philosophy is you go out and you ask your clients questions to help you develop your messaging and develop your product, because they're going to tell you exactly the best messaging. Right. And you ask questions like, what are the problems that we solve for you? That's a big one, mm-hmm. And like, why did you choose us over the competitor? That's a really good question to ask, because it can tell you the value that your brand delivers through the eyes of your target audience versus through the eyes of your brand, right? Right. So, yeah, and voice of customer data has a proven track record of increasing conversion rates, as we saw in the Sierra Club campaign.
And did the Sierra Club know anything about any of this, or was this kind of all new stuff to them, but they were doing it, they just didn't realize it?
Well, I think on a certain level they were doing some of it, but they didn't. What we did was we sent 2 surveys out. They never did this process, which is sort of my process before I write copy. Mm-hmm. Is we sent 2 surveys out, one to the non-donors, because we really wanted to find out why people weren't donating, mm-hmm. and then one to the donors, because we wanted to find out why you donated, mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. why did what was going on in your world what was going on in your world that made you come to the Sierra Club in the first place? Because that's where you get to the real big emotional stuff that's going on with your target audience. That's a really good question.
That's a good
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is it doesn't cost a lot of money to do this. Like we bought a month on SurveyMonkey and we sent 2 surveys out.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah. It's not expensive. And I actually did a couple one-on-one interviews too with donors, where I just got on the phone and I talked to them for 20 minutes and asked them some questions. And I was able to really take the questions a little bit deeper and find some emotional needs that you can't quite get in a survey. Right. So that's another part of our voice of customer data.
Right. That's huge. And so the number 3 is digital follower audit. Talk about that. What is that?
Okay. So before I even started the campaign, I sat down and I analyzed one of their previous email campaigns. Mm-hmm. I looked at the results and I looked at the analytics to find out where people were dropping out of the funnel.
Gotcha.
And then I looked at so then you look at that, and that kind of narrows down where in the digital marketing you sort of have to focus and optimize for better results. Mm-hmm. And then I took a look at the messaging and the design in every piece of the funnel, from the very first place that a person enters, mm-hmm. right? So in this particular case, you're looking at the subject line and all of the content in the email. And if you send someone to another place after the email, mm-hmm. you look there. And then I also looked at the checkout page, or the page where they made the donation. I look at that page mm-hmm. to make sure that, you're not asking for too much information. Everything's clear. It's really easy to check out. People feel secure about their checkout. Mm-hmm. And then I even look at any kind of confirmation emails you send to people mm-hmm. after they make a purchase. And I look at all of that messaging and just make sure that, you're hitting some big things, like it's clear. You've got motivational messages in there. You've got good messaging matches. That's when you're taking a person from one place in the funnel to the next, mm-hmm. and that they understand that what you were previously talking about, and then you continue with the convo in the new place.
So you're just kind of cleaning up their roadmap to get them to the finish line.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I also look at design to make sure that the layout's clear and easy, and the photos match what you're saying.
So how many of the folks that you work with have this pretty well buttoned up versus some of them do they need a lot of work, not much work? They have it pretty down pat?
Well, I would say...
I'm sure everybody needs a little help, but...
Yeah, everybody needs a little help. Well, you're talking about my particular client base, or just people?
Yeah. Your client
I would say probably like about 60% of them need a lot more work. But there's a couple clients, and one I just got done working with, he had a lot of it down, and because he had worked with other conversion rate optimization agencies, and he was really well educated. And I felt like he got the design down and the layout of his funnel. Mm-hmm. And he actually came to me because he wanted the copy written. And
gotcha.
Right. And he understood it, but he didn't have the time to actually do the voice of customer research and get the copy done. Right. So I did it for him.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
And then number 4 is passion. That might be obvious, but what do you mean by that?
Okay. So I feel like passion helps you find this internal power that often lies dormant and that we don't really use. Mm-hmm. And because that happened to me when I did the campaign for the Sierra Club, because I was so passionate about protecting public lands, right, that I kind of got fired up and I would be writing, and suddenly like this amazing creativity was just kind of
you have a little extra adrenaline shot going on.
Yeah. I mean, well, you do photography, so do you ever feel like that when like you're photographing something that's really
totally
makes you jazzed?
Yeah. I mean, you go out every day, and most mornings the light is great, but sometimes you get out there and there's clouds and light, and it's just like, whoa, this is a special one. Yeah.
Yeah. And you sort of get in this zone, mm-hmm, and everything is just easy and fun. And that was happening in the Sierra Club. And I felt like I was able to collaborate with really good, smart people that were super motivated. Mm-hmm. And that just kind of fueled the passion for the project as well. Right. And I feel like that what happens when you start tapping into that is like I said, you're way more creative, but you feel more confident about what you're doing, and you just feel less scared about things. Like
more
I just
energy,
felt,
right? I mean, you just jazzed. Yeah. Huh, very cool. And then the 5th one, get involved. That might be obvious also, but talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when I just feel like instead of feeling discouraged about the way something's going, just roll up your sleeves and think of how you can get involved and be part of the solution. Instead of depending on other people to mm-hmm. fix it for you. And when I did that for the Sierra Club, you stop feeling alone. You start feeling that there's other people, and that kind of builds this collaboration and momentum. Mm-hmm. And you feel more jazzed up, but you feel like you've got something that's stronger and is going to be harder for people to stop, or it's going to really get you to your goal a lot faster. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really important.
That's really important these days, because these things are coming at us like waves on the beach. I mean, it just seems like every day there's another new something that we have to deal with. And if you're just out there writing to your congressman, emailing your senator, whatever you're doing, it can feel like, you get lost in the noise. But if you do get involved with a group, you feel empowered, I would think. Yeah,
and I was at the outdoor retailer summer market. I went to this cool event at night. It was Diverse Voices in the Outdoors. Mm. And it was a panel of like 7 people who all were doing initiatives to help the outdoors. And did you ever hear of Robbie Bond?
I don't think so.
Okay, so he's this 9-year-old kid, and he was on this panel, and they interviewed him. And what happened was he grew up in the outdoors, playing in the outdoors, and when the Trump administration slashed the national monuments, he was really upset, and he got involved and did speak for parks. So he's traveling around the United States, turning all these kids on to teaching them how to speak up to protect public parks.
Awesome.
And when I was sitting there listening to all these people, I felt like this is a really cool thing that's happening from the Trump administration, and what's going on is everyone's stepping into their power, they're stepping into their skills, and they're coming to the plate, and they're doing these really cool things. And that's what happens when you get involved, is that you start finding these skills and this confidence inside yourself that you never knew existed.
Yeah. Well, that's the good news about all this stuff, is he woke up a sleeping giant. And
he did.
I think we all got caught up in doing we were still doing a lot of great things, but it really put everybody's targeted energy towards a couple of things to stop it. So hopefully we can get him out and stop it and move on. So So I'm sure the Sierra Club was psyched about this, right?
Yeah, they were psyched. I think the voice of customer data thing was really exciting for them. Mm-hmm. And they liked the fact that there was a donor-centric campaign. They thought that was was really neat. Yeah.
Well, that's what kind of drives a lot of these groups, right? The donors. I mean,
yeah,
that's where it all starts. So if they don't have those guys, they can't do anything.
Right.
Yeah, cool. So let's switch gears a little. Anything else you want to tell us about that project before we move on?
No, I think that if businesses really want to make more money, I encourage everybody to do the voice of customer research, because not only did we get like copywriting messaging that came out of that, but another thing that was cool was when we talked to the people that were kind of sitting on the fence. Well, when we talked to the non-donors and asked them, why didn't you donate to the Sierra Club? The top two things that came out of that were some people were sitting on the fence and they were still evaluating the club. And the other thing was just, fundraising fatigue. Mm-hmm. We're all getting hit with, come on, let's just stop this momentum. And everyone needs help. Yep. So I decided that one of the things we have to do is tell people our accomplishments. Tell people the accomplishments of the Sierra Club. Like, what did you do this year? Yep. And we needed to put that right in before we asked for the donation or on the sales page, right? Yep. So the people, and I was going after those people sitting on the fence, like if I could convince them that this company, this organization was credible and they actually did good things with the money, I could sway them to donate. Right. So we went after that, and then we told them exactly what we were going to do with the funds. Like, we're going to be putting this towards the next election that's coming up. Did they alter their message based on telling people what they do? Because I think a lot of times some of these groups and companies, they tell you what they do, but they just oversell it. They overdo it, and you get lost in the minutia. It's like, well, what really do you do? Just give me 3 words for what you do. I got really specific. I think getting specific is really good. Like for example, one of the things they do is they sponsor outings. So you could say, okay, well, this year we sponsor outings. I'm like, no, let's tell them how many outings we sponsored specifically. And I think it was like 50 outings. And I'm like, isn't that more powerful that it's the campaign launched in July, and by July they already had 50 outings.
Right.
done.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think when people are pitching, we need to be really specific and don't be vague, because now you're asking the customer to fill in a blank and they don't know how to do it, or they'll fill in the blank wrong. Yeah. And outings, you could say you sponsor outings and do 2, and that's totally irrelevant. If you win 50 is a big number, or, we have a lot of outdoor customers. Well, how many outdoor customers do you have? You're right. Getting specific is important. Exactly. Cause that's really just going to boost your credibility. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So let's switch gears a little bit. Who are some of the mentors that have helped you along the way? Joanna Wiebe, she's the founder of Copy Hackers. She's the original conversion copywriter and optimizer. So I've studied with Joanna. I've taken her classes. I did masterminds with her. And she's helped big brands like Buffer, Wistia, Crazy Egg, Shopify, Neil Patel, Sprout Social increase conversions and sales through conversion copywriting. Okay. Mm-hmm. And she's just a dynamo, and she's a cool lady. She has a lot of the same values that everybody in the outdoor industry has. Has she ever been to the outdoor show? Has she worked with any outdoor brands? No, she has. I don't think she has. It'd be interesting to get her to do a presentation there. That'd be cool. I would totally be psyched. Yeah. Huh. She's a dynamo. Mm-hmm. Huh. Good. Anybody else? Yeah, Chris Goward he's the CEO of Wider Funnel, which is a conversion rate optimization agency. Now, I've never worked with Chris, but I've gone to a couple of his talks and I read everything he publishes. Mm-hmm. He actually did work with an outdoor brand up in Canada. Oh, okay. I think there's an outdoor retailer up there. I can't remember the name right now, but I've looked at some case studies that he's published about how he lifted the conversion rate for them. Oh, cool. And he also works with brands like Google and IBM. Mm-hmm. But the thing that's cool about him is he's got tested research that he's not afraid to share of what exactly did they do to increase the conversion rate. What works, yeah. Yeah. And so that's the thing everybody has to remember about CRO and conversion copywriting is it's backed by data. Mm-hmm. Things are measured. Mm-hmm. Either we're doing benchmarks or we're doing A/B testing, but everything is measured and we're continually refining, Mm-hmm. So it's backed by data.
That's awesome. So do you work with any other nonprofit groups?
Not right now. Uh-huh. There's a really good friend of mine wants me to work with her nonprofit. It's a company that is out in Nepal or the Nepal area, but we're still kind of in discussions right there, mm-hmm. For that right now.
Cool. Awesome. That'd be great. And so you're a climber. What other outdoor activities do you participate in?
Well, I love skiing and I love snowboarding. I've been snowboarding for like the last 10 years and I hitting the moguls hard on my board and going down the big bowls. Nice. But now I think I'm going to go into the backcountry and do more of that. I'm kind of excited to explore the backcountry. Yeah.
That's so fun. Yeah. You'll love it.
Yeah. I'm psyched for that. And I like hiking and I like crack climbing, trad climbing, and sport climbing. I kind of do all of it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Good. Yeah. Cool. And do you have any suggestions or advice for folks either wanting to get into the outdoor biz or grow their career if they're already in the biz?
I would say create relationships with people, go to events, reach out, get to know people. And I think a big thing is just be really helpful and share what you know. And don't be afraid to share what you know. Like I've had a few one-on-one convos with people where I just reach out. Like I reached out to a nonprofit not too long ago and I said, hey, let's just sit down and I'm going to share with you what worked in Sierra Club, Colorado and turn you on to some really cool practices. And also when I was doing my niche research, I sat down with a few climbing gyms and that was really good. I mean, we had some conversations and I just shared what I knew and things come back to you.
Yeah.
And it may take a little while, but people remember you and it comes back.
Yeah. No, I support that 100%. And how about some daily routines do you use to keep your sanity? You meditate? Obviously, you get a lot of exercise.
Yeah, I meditate. I do yoga. I love yoga. Well, both yoga and meditation help people they just help me be more mindful and just more aware of other people in my relationships and what I'm thinking about on a day-to-day basis. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that is so connected to sales because the more mindful and aware you can be of your target audience, just the better you're going to sell.
That's true. Yeah. I support that. Yeah, I agree with that. Do you use any apps, meditation apps? How do you?
I have
Insight Timer.
Yes, I do. That's it. Insight Timer. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can do all kinds of things. Like you can just use a background noise if that's what you like, or a timer, or they have really cool meditation courses and things for insomnia. Lots of really cool. Yeah, I dip into that insomnia one a lot.
I do that every night, just about.
That's so funny. Yep. Yeah, I find it really, really useful.
Yeah. And do you have any favorite books? Or let's go back to routines. Do you have any business routines you use? Do you follow every month you do this at the beginning of the month, this at the end of the month? Any?
I educate myself all the time. So when I sit down in the morning and I do social media every day. I put things out in my feed. A lot of it is like the research I do. Like there's a couple people I follow all the time to learn things. And I make a point of reading those things every single week. I go to their blogs and I look at what they did and then I share it. I share it in my social network so that my audience can learn. But that's how I learn a lot. And I always keep educating myself.
Yeah, that's
great. I just buy books or I take courses, but I always keep my skill set, going.
Do you listen to any podcasts? Any other podcasts?
Yeah, I listen to Kristen Carpenter. I find her outdoor podcast.
That's a good one, yeah.
I mean, yeah, a good one. I also listen to some copywriting
interesting. Okay.
podcasts. Yeah, I listen to a couple of those. Like two of my pals produce a podcast every week where they talk about copywriting and they have copywriters on. So I listen to that a lot too.
I'll have to check that out. That'd be an interesting one. I'm always looking for tips on copywriting for various, whether it's a pithy comment for a social media post or something. I need help. Do you have any favorite books or books you give as gifts?
Yes. Well, a great book for anyone who wants to write copy or ads is Scientific Advertising by Claude Hopkins. And he's an advertising pioneer who tested marketing messages, unique value propositions with coupon codes in direct marketing.
Huh.
Yeah. And so a lot of the things that he shares in his book, and I can give you a link that you can push out.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Is all tested. So it's proven.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a big proponent of just good old fashioned salesmanship. So he talks a lot about that in the book. And again, that's going to help you sell on all kinds of levels, right? Not just your
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The other book I love is Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. And that was a book that was given to me in graduate school. It's one of the best gems I took away from graduate school. So he's all about usability and user experience on websites.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
It's a great book. I encourage everybody who has a website or works on a website to read that book. He's a funny guy. It's going to be very entertaining. It's a short read, but it's all about delivering a good user experience because that's part of selling.
That's what it's all about. Yep.
If your reps in your outdoor store, you want them to be good service, customer service reps and salespeople, you got to expect the same thing from your website.
Yeah.
And he gets you into that mindset. It's a really good book.
Oh, very cool. That's a good one. I'll pick that one up. Yeah.
And the last one is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I love that one because sometimes we get in our own way and we are our worst enemy.
Right.
But Jen will help you clear that up really fast.
Yeah,
and she's
she's pretty funny. Yeah.
She's hysterical. She's really funny. So that's another really entertaining book.
I listened to one of hers on Audible. She's even better, when she's reading it. It's pretty good. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, awesome. Those are good. And how about your favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100?
The .5 purple black diamond Camelot.
Right.
Because that's my hand size that I'm working on right now at Indian Creek.
Gotcha.
And it just saves my ass and keeps me off the ground.
That's good. That's a good thing.
So I need a lot of them.
That's awesome. As we go to close, is there anything else you want to ask of our audience or say to our listeners?
Yeah, I would say keep testing. Test your marketing ideas. Don't be afraid to test and don't be afraid to get feedback from your target market. Like, you don't have to use surveys. When I was in healthcare, I worked with I had a really cool supervisor and he used to call me Guido. And we would produce copy. We'd write copy for things. And he'd say, Guido, go take this copy out and go visit some of the patients up here and just get their feedback on the copy. So I'd walk out and I had this target audience, and I'd sit down with them. And most of them were psyched, and they gave me this great feedback on my copy.
I'll bet.
And some of it was like, no, that's not really clear and I don't understand it. And some of it was really good. And it was great,
That's huge.
So don't, and it really helps you steer your messaging. So don't be afraid to get feedback and test things. And failures aren't a bad thing. They're just kind of signposts to point you to the better path, really.
Well, you don't learn unless you fail. So,
yeah. So don't be afraid if you try something in your marketing and it didn't work. And you're like, okay, well, what can I learn from that? And let's move on.
Right. How to make it better. Yeah, that's awesome. And how can people find you if they want to follow up? Obviously, we'll put a link to your website in the show notes. That
would be great. And when they do go to my website, they can get some more optimization strategies that I used in the Sierra Club marketing campaign.
Cool.
So they can apply that to their marketing.
Cool.
And you can send me an email, mary@digitalmarketingdeva.com.
Okay.
But I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Cool. Well, we'll link to all that stuff in the show notes.
Okay.
That's great. Well, thanks, Mary. It's been awesome.
Thank you, Rick. It was really fun.
Yeah, and hopefully you're going to go to OR in winter?
I'm not sure, but maybe if you can talk me into it.
Yeah, you should poke your head. It's close, so you should go.
Yeah.
A lot of the winter folks are there. I'll be there, so look forward to meeting you there.
Maybe I will go because I haven't really talked to many of the winter folks, so that would be fun.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, you too.
All right, bye-bye. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to go to the outdoorbizpodcast.com where you'll find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Until next time, be sure to make time to get outside.